Hello, I'm Deb Keyes with Stampin' on the Hill. Welcome. I have it is the June 4th. So the first week, the first Wednesday of the month, I try to do a new technique for you, and we're going to do some reflections. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways to use your silicone mat that maybe you've seen, but maybe you haven't. So um, let me jump right into it. I have pre, oops, I have pre-cut lots of things just because I wanted to show you the technique today, not necessarily to show you how to use the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and whatnot. So this is the silicone mat that I have. I have to remember to keep it high enough up on my thing so that you can all see it. So we're also going to be using today, this is pecan pie. So this is, actually using it this way. So it's really 4 1/4 by 8 1/2 scored at, let's try that again. 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4. We're going to be using it landscape. So we're going to set that aside for now. I also have a piece of Mossy Meadow, and I used the largest die from the Textured Notes dies, so this largest one, and I used that in order to cut out this frame. And then I also used I cut from the center of that because we're going to be covering it up. I cut these couple of little leaves, 3 little leaves out of here. These are from the Loveliest tree bundle. So we'll be using Loveliest tree in our project. And then, so I just used the dies that go with that in order to cut out 3 little leaves. I don't know if you can see them here in my hand. There's one of them. So I've got 3 of those that I cut out already. And I have a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5 1/4. So that's going to be on the inside. All right. And then I have another piece. I used if you'll remember, my handy little templates to figure out which size was going to fit best in here. So using my templates, I used this size. So 4 5/8 by 3 3/8 is the other size of basic white that I'm going to use. So let's move these pieces out of the way. And like I said, I previously did some of this already. So I wanted to show you quick when you're blending. I used blending brushes. I used Mossy Meadow and Azure Afternoon. And what I was trying to create is something that looks like water. So what I did with this, make sure that let's put this on a piece of paper for you. When you ink up your blending brush, make sure to kind of blot it off a little bit before you start. But then I kind of, for the water itself, because I wanted this to be like a little pond or something, because that's what we are going to have our tree reflected into, is the pond. Okay. So I was making a pond, and so I was going this way with this. Then I used the same color again, and I swirled a bit at the top, and I tried to keep it a little lighter than way darker down here. But I swirled a little at the top so it would kind of give you the idea of a sky. And then I needed some green in the background. So I swirled again in circular motions, okay, to do what I consider to be grass in between the lake and the sky, or the pond and the sky. So now we're going to come in with our tree, okay? And what we're going to do with the tree is we're going to color this twice, but I'm going to use markers to color it because I want the tree trunk to be a different color than the leaves. So you're supposed to start with the lightest color. And these, honestly, I have a hard time deciding which is lighter. So I'm going to go with the pecan pie being the lighter color. And I'm going to just trace with my brush tip. I'm tracing some branches in here, and then I'm going to use the side of it to finish coloring in the rest of, and when I'm looking at this, here's just a tip for you. Can you see it in there? I'm making sure. So I'm looking at like some greenery, kind of grass around the edges, but you can kind of see better on the actual print itself on the stamp set that this is part of the tree trunk here. So I'm going to go a little bit farther down here and then mostly just grass at the bottom. So I'm done with this color. And I'm going to use my Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to use this one on the side to kind of fill in the rest of this grassiness that you can see here on the bottom. All right. Then I'm going to turn it upside down because I have better control. And I'm going to, still using the side of my marker, I'm going to avoid the tree branches that I drew in. And I'm going to color the whole rest of this with my marker, the side of the brush tip of my marker. Then give this a quick, like I said, I'm really trying to give you the idea. So in my working quickly, it may not turn out quite as perfectly as if you were actually doing this and taking your time like you should. But this will give you the general idea. I'm trying to get the leaves without covering up the branches that I colored in that other color. So then what you're going to do is, and I can't really show you how to do this exactly without turning the camera backward, but so we're going to huff on this just to re-moisten the ink, okay? So I'm going to just use my breath to re-moisten it. All right. And I'm going to stamp this at the top of my pond here, okay? Try to straighten it out a bit. Okay, that's pretty good. Then what we're going to do, move this aside, we're going to recolor it. If you think about this though, and if you put this, I'm going to try to line up the bottom here with the bottom here and just kind of guesstimate. I'm not going to need to color the whole rest of my tree, but I do want to recolor the trunk. And I want to, I'm going to try, well, it's fine. We'll just do it the same exact way. All right, here we go. With the branches again. And then get one of those in there. And then again with the stuff at the bottom. Actually, I'm not going to do the bottom of this one. I kind of don't want it to be, I want the grass to show up as much in the reflection as I do just the rest of the tree. So, like I said, we're not going to go all the way to the top. I'm going to just sort of guess how much of this tree is actually going to end up on the bottom in the reflection. So you'll get the idea as soon as I turn this over. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our silicone mat. If you can tell, there's a little emblem on here and it's raised. So either turn the thing upside down or turn it sideways or something so that you don't accidentally stamp on that raised something, because you will be disappointed. And we're going to stamp directly onto our mat. I forgot to huff on this first, so hopefully this is going to come out okay. Looks good. Okay, you can kind of see it in there. And then what we're going to do is turn our paper upside down. You can do this either way. And I can kind of see through here. Can you see a little bit through there, the lines? So I'm going to line this back up with my tree trunk in the water here, about like this. And I'm going to give it a good press. And then when I pull this off, you can see, turn it around, now you can see that here's your reflection, and it's a little bit lighter because we stamped off some of the ink by stamping it onto the silicone mat first. So that's kind of fun, isn't it? The whole reflection technique. I thought so. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to glue it to our mossy meadow layer that we cut our leaves out of the middle of. This is just a paper saver. So because you're going to cover that center up anyway, you might as well cut whatever kind of, if you had a label, you know, a sentiment that you wanted that to be, you might as well cut it out of the center because you don't need that for anything else. We're going to then glue this right onto our card front. So it's going to go this way. And I was making a sympathy card out of this. I thought would be cool because it came with the stamp set. Has a sympathy, sending heartfelt sympathy with it. So I wanted it to be a sympathy card, but then I couldn't find a good enough place on the card itself without covering up something. So I decided to put it in the middle. So of course I already stamped that on that side too, just to save time. And so we'll put this on the inside. And then as we're going along, so there's our card. I should have used the bone folder on this and it would lay flat. There we go. All right. So one more thing I wanted to show you with the silicone mat. Let me just wipe it off a second because I don't want to accidentally get smudges, so that you can kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this. I pulled out from the beautiful butterfly stamp set. I pulled out this half of a butterfly. This could be like a dog that's facing one way, or some other animal, or something that's facing one way or another. You can still do this same technique. Let's move this up. So let's do this in blue because I have it here. So if you wanted them to be facing one another, okay, you're going to put one here, and then you're going to put one on your mat. And then you can put them together so that they're facing one another. Push down on this again. This kind of works good with black mostly, but so you have a little bit lighter version of it, but you could probably, instead of doing it this way, you could probably have stamped off somewhere and then stamped the other one, the first one, and then it's kind of about the same color. Anyhow, just so you have yet another way to use your silicone mat, I thought that was fun and worth sharing as well. So I think that's it. I hope you try it because it is kind of fun. It's a little time consuming, but it is fun for sure. And you don't have to use multiple colors on your stamp set, but I think it looks cool. Let's see. Oh, in June. So it's June already. Wow. We're going to have some sort of a stamp set, or potentially a bundle of the month from here on out for a little while anyway. We'll see how it goes. But the June bundle of the month, in case you want to buy it, is textured notes. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm making 4 projects, and they will be used for the card class in June. If you want to join either in person or virtually, virtually you don't have to really sign up. You have to place a $35 order, and then I will send you all the products. You will be responsible for having your own inks that we're using. But I will send you the instructions. I will send you all the paper, cut everything that you need to make it as if you were here in person. And I will include videos so that you can watch how the techniques that I use in order to make things happen. And if you join in person, you may or may not have already been here to an in-person class. But again, I have all the products pre-cut for you. Everybody has to bring their own scissors and adhesive anyway. So those are things that even virtually you would need to have. I will send along any additional things like the gems, or if we use them, or ribbon or whatever, and those will all be in the virtual packets when I mail them out. Anyhow, the bundle of the month is textured notes. So until next time, thanks for watching.